This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're on location in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with C3 Commercial Construction Consultants. Since 2019, they've helped you maximize profits and increase value for your property. I'm here with Jimmy Hahn, who is the managing partner. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. I mean, you have a history in construction, be it roofing, solar, sales, you name it. You've done a little bit here in the past few years. You've got a degree in leadership, organization. Share with me a little bit why you decided to get started with C3 in 2019.
Well, essentially, I was working with another organization that provided at the beginning a lot of resources and tools to help me succeed, as a project manager in the commercial roofing industry. What I learned as years kind of progressed was I didn't have the efficiency as much as I needed to succeed the way I wanted to succeed. And efficiency meaning how many roofs am I putting on a year, and it comes down to what kind of support and tools do I have to go along with that. Without that, it's very, very difficult to succeed in this business. So
kind of frustrating for you, knowing it could be done a better way, probably.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. I mean, regardless of the project out there, it's important to have a specialist on your side. I would imagine with larger projects, especially when we're talking about large loss projects,
yes.
Why is it even more important to have a specialist in your corner?
Well, what I found out through experience is that on the large loss claim side, it's a very arduous and difficult task to get those approved. And what I'm my perspective is that the carriers tend to not want to pay out the seven-figure checks. And so what we've done is we've brought an attorney legal advice in-house and a couple other things to make it more efficient, have resources more readily available, basically, so I could have more teeth when trying to fight for my clients.
That's interesting. I mean, obviously life happens, and that is why organizations have insurance.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to buying insurance versus actually going out and staking a claim, that's pretty complex, pretty comprehensive to navigate through that. Is that pretty much where your expertise lies?
Well, I don't know if I'm an expert at it, but I have learned to read policies. I have learned to look for certain things that I can help my clients be more aware of. Even prior to filing a claim or prior to signing a new policy. So there's things that they need to kind of be aware of to protect themselves because, I mean, we're in Colorado and it's one of the largest hail markets in the country. Inevitably, the roof's probably going to be replaced within 10 years. So it's important to have good insurance to protect, the property owner.
I mean, obviously, it's the insurance's job to make sure they pay out pretty much as little as they can. How important is it, the art of negotiating when you're talking with insurance companies, and is that something you're able to go in and take care of for your clients?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we really try and like I said, I'm going to keep saying efficiency, but instead of trying to spend months and months going back and forth with a carrier, we want to get everything prepared and ready for that carrier right off the gate. So that carrier has everything in front of them to make the decisions that they need, including engineering reports, scopes of work, etc. And our scopes of work are reasonable. They're not there to grab the highest dollar amount. They're there to get the roof put on, and that's really our goal in this case.
That is interesting. I mean, by negotiating for your customers really what they deserve on their claim, I mean, you're able to add thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in some of these projects for them, putting value back into their property.
Yes, I mean, I've actually worked with some smaller kind of boutique investment firms that, I mean, these are assets to them. I mean, one of my clients owns a number of, not this hotel, but a number of other hotels, and it's a fund. So they have to report earnings and losses like any other company, and so that asset has that value. We want to retain that asset with the highest value we can.
I imagine your experience in the construction industry in general has got to help. I mean, you know what it takes. You can't come in underbidding and then find out later on we couldn't get the job done. Do you think that experience kind of plays a part into what you do every day now? I
hope so. I mean, it's the bidding process is still something I'm learning. I've been able to really secure some good labor so I can be competitive in the marketplace. But at the same time, it's just kind of ever changing, and there are those companies that will tend to bid low to get a job and then change order some things. So we don't try and do that. We try and just get everything right out the onset and have everything clear so we get to business.
Like I said before, efficiency is vital to you. I mean, it's a construction company, you're a negotiator, but yet at the same time, people skills. How important is that for you as far as building relationship with your customer?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a process where when I'm inspecting a roof and building that relationship, I like to try and do things to build trust because inevitably that's what I'm going to ask them at the end of the day is to trust me and trust me with their assets. So I need to show things along that way that provide that kind of trust. And what I've learned that the clients I've really worked with and done some good projects with, this one in particular, I've become friends with the clients rather than just business partners or business associates. It really becomes a friendship.
As we know, trust is built on actions, being, accountable for what you're doing. I mean, there's a lot probably you do behind the scenes, solving problems for them so they can really continue focusing on what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually had one client that was going through a major renovation at one of their properties and had some issues with the general contractor, and so he needed help with labor along with an attorney. So I was able to come through and help him out with a couple of those things. Hopefully retain the client as well.
Exactly. Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Obviously, you have a lot of experience when it comes to these commercial, large accounts. What about residential? I mean, let's be honest, just as hard to navigate when you have a problem out there. And not only here in Colorado, but how far you reach out to help people.
Yes. Like I said, I've always focused on commercial. That's been my entry point, and that's been my mainstay. But bringing some other people into the organization, some other assets in particular that really know residential roofing and know the kind of the higher end of residential roofing when you start talking about slates and decorative tile and so on and so forth. So we've been working right now currently outside of Denver, spending a lot of time in Texas, Dallas particularly, but that's one of the things that we're going to be kind of going more into in the next few years is residential as well.
That is interesting. Folks out there, I mean, we live in Colorado. We have hailstorms and you name it. We got snow that does some damage. Many times, a lot of these people may think there's a problem up on the roof, but they can't really see it from the street view. Is that something you're able to come out and assess and find out if a roof needs replaced? Yeah,
I mean, I've learned how to use an infrared drone that I work with on commercial properties to kind of determine where water is or moisture is being saturated. Well, these drones work. I mean, a lot of manufacturers are using them as well. As a subpar roof inspection to kind of get an idea. It doesn't take the place of someone being on the roof and inspecting it, but those circumstances, absolutely, we can take a look and figure that out.
Obviously based here in Colorado, does the future hold you spreading out a little bit further from here?
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, I never wanted to. I mean, the whole goal of this business is really to not be kind of pigeonholed into one area, and want to be able to make decisions based on circumstances, not on policy.
I mean, you have a track record for basically successfully handling some of these large commercial restorations. I mean, do you think, I would imagine there's a lot of, you're taking a lot off people's plate by carrying on some of this stuff. Do your organizational skills come into play there?
Well, those are still developing. I'm going to tell you right now. Some people can attest that I do well when I'm on a build in the field, but then everything kind of falls aside. So it's a matter of having the right people around you, which I'm confident I do, and that's continuing to grow. And so we're looking really forward to the next few years and what it can bring about for us.
Speaking of the next few years into the future, someone out there, they have a loss that they experience. It can be an overwhelming, stressful time. What do you recommend they do first? I mean, what should they do on the front end?
I would have someone that they trust or someone credible come out and do a full inspection for them. And generally, property owners have someone they've been using or a relationship built. But if not, it's definitely time to have the right person out there to inspect and give you some good guidance, because if from my circumstance, I mean, the last thing I want to do, and I tell clients this all the time, is I don't want to create any more work for you, and I don't want to cost you any money, and so I want to take as much off their plate as I can, and that really should be what they're seeing from anybody they're talking to.
Like you say, a lot of folks out there have relationships built already. For folks out there that don't, probably important for them to do their due diligence as they're looking at people out there. What do you recommend they ask the right questions?
Well, the important part is getting to someone that's in a decision-making, role, and that can come in different forms, and then that's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes I made is making an assumption of who that person is. And so what I've done is, when I start working with a new client, is do a lot of background on them. I tend to vet them as much as they vet me. Because in the end, if that relationship isn't conducive, isn't working well, it's going to be problems on both ends. And maybe I'm not always going to be the right person.
Sure.
So do we have different personalities sometimes? And sometimes we just need to know when to, just walk away. So.
As you said at the beginning, you look back, you work for some companies, you realize this could be done more efficiently. You now have really the backbone of your company where every meeting has value, every project, every connection. Does this continue to be rewarding for you, knowing that you're out there pretty much taking care of people's problems?
Well, it's very rewarding when I'm able to, work with a client that is in great need of some help financially. So I have a client here in Colorado that's, they're privatized schools, and so a lot of their funding, because part of it was state funding, was revoked, and so this organization has a hard time finding money to do anything. So we've been doing some repairs for them and taking care of their properties, kind of band-aiding stuff, making sure that they're able to kind of continue towards the next school year. But at the same time, it's really satisfying knowing that I can help them out and kind of get them, because I really believe in the organization and what they do. So.
That is excellent. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. You're going to find out a little bit more about that company right there online. Check out the experience they have as well. You can also give them a call, contact them if you're looking for somebody that you can turn to, that you can trust, somebody that's willing to basically put in the action, the accountability to earn that trust. This started back in 2019. He has many years of experience prior to that, basically making sure that the process is going to be efficient and successful. Basically, they find it, build it, and they bill it. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.